Hey YouTube, Karina here, and today is March 18th, 2017. Just figured I'll throw that out there before I get started in this video, and let you know, okay, this is possibly going to be posted maybe later on in the day. It could be posted tomorrow, could be posted as late as Monday. I don't know. It depends on how fast it uploads and if I have to get somewhere where I can upload it like super fast. Now, let me go ahead and just jump right off into this video. I guess I want to title it If the Shoe Fits. And I will say that, I guess, because I was watching a Disney classic last night, Cinderella. The original Cinderella, not a remake or a partial part of a movie. I watched like the original Cinderella because I had these movies in my possession and I just decided to watch this one for some reason. I was like, wow, let me just revisit that. Because and then when I looked at it, there were a lot of things that I missed as a child watching this movie, such as the life undertones, like real life application undertones, and also spiritual undertones, and also the fact that in scripture, like she has like the most characteristics. Cinderella had the most characteristics of King David before he was to be king. He was overlooked by his father and his older brothers. Like Cinderella was overlooked by her evil stepmother and her two wicked stepsisters. That's uncanny. Like I've never noticed that before. And I guess like with reading more scripture and um seeing how scripture applied to our life situations, I mean, I just picked up on that last night to the point where I had to literally sit down and take some notes. Like, I kept pausing the movie because I was like, wow, I never noticed this part when I was a child. And even watching this movie as an adult, I still never noticed a lot of things. Now, let me just jump right off into it. If you see me looking down, it's because I have my notes. And also, it's like this, the part of the story of David where Jesse had to present his sons to Samuel because God had told Samuel, excuse me, that he had already picked a king from Jesse's lineage. Okay, so needless to say, but I will say, Jesse overlooked David by, refusing to call him out of the pasture, when Samuel came to look and see about this king that God was telling him about, that he had chosen out of his sons. And Samuel basically looked at he looked at seven of the sons, eight being David, okay? So it was basically like this. When Samuel asked Jesse, are these all your sons? Jesse was like, no, there's another one. He's attending the sheep. So Samuel ordered Jesse to go and get him. And you know what? Sometimes people in your life will try to disregard you and have you wherever you are because basically they don't think that you're suitable for what you're supposed to be doing, really. I don't mean in the physical sense, because you will have people putting you in sticky situations. Anyway, sometimes you will be doing like the dirty jobs, the stinky jobs, certain things, and people want to try to disregard you. But I'm gonna tell you this right now: the one that's most disregarded and passed over, that's the one truly is the one who is chosen to be specific place at a specific time. Okay, I'm gonna get a little bit more into that. Moving from David being disregarded by his father. Okay, back to Cinderella. Characteristics. She was disregarded and disrespected to the utmost. I mean, she became a servant in her own house after her father died. And the wife that the father married, never revealed her true character until after he passed away. And she started mistreating Cinderella basically because she was so beautiful and she was like super duper jealous of her. Like, Cinderella was more beautiful than her children. And she saw that. She was more beautiful than her. She saw that and she was like just mistreating her. Like, I mean, she had to wake up in the morning and serve the animals. She had to do everything, taking care of the animals. David took care of the sheep. Cinderella took care of the horse, the dog, the cat, and she even had her little micey friends that she took care of. But I'm guessing she wanted to take care of the little mice because that was her thing. That's all she had to work with at the time. Like, so far as having friends, she had none. She just had the animals. That was basically all she had. Pretty much like David. But I want to get down to some of the notes that I took so far as watching the movie, things that I had noticed. Like, with a little bit about the beginning of Cinderella and the undertones. This was the first undertone I noticed. When the little birds were trying to wake Cinderella up, like opening the curtain and trying to let the sun shine in and wake her up and everything. And she was basically like still covering up her head and like turning the pillow over her and everything. She just did not want to get up. So when she finally woke up, she told the little birds, "Oh, I was having the most wonderful dream." And they were chirping at her. And she's like, "Tell you my dream?" She started undoing her braids and combing her hair. She said, "Mm-mm," verbatim, "Mm-mm. If I tell you the dream, it's not going to come true." Now, a lot of times, you tell people your dreams, they will do any and everything to attempt to stop it. Not so much that they can stop it. Not really. I mean, they can throw so many hindrances and like make stuff hectic for you. And then she starts singing this song about a dream is a wish your heart makes. Basically, we would call that a desire of your heart. She had a desire in her heart for something, and you never know what the desire was because she didn't tell anybody. She didn't even tell the little birds that were inquiring, and they were like the closest to her. She did not tell them one thing. However, if you look at what she was looking at, whenever she looked out the window, her eyes were focused on that castle. Her eyes were focused on that castle. Now, that's all you could see, and you'd never like really know her dream too much from anything. That was one of the first things that I noticed. She refused to tell her dream. Then the second thing I noticed was she still had joy in her heart, even though she had to go through all these crappy situations like serving her uh, two wicked stepsisters, Anastasia and Drusilla, and then also she had to serve her wicked stepmother, like literally do the laundry, make them breakfast, feed the animals. The first thing she had to do was get up, feed the cat. Now, the most interesting thing and the craziest thing about the cat, and I never noticed this for nothing. If you have this movie in your house, in somebody else's house, they'll let you borrow it, anything like that, please watch this movie and sit there and see what you pick out and expound a little more on it if you feel that you'd like to. So, okay, the cat stirring up the trouble's name was Lucifer. Okay, they tried to change up some things with the movie Cinderella. However, if you notice, all throughout the movie, Lucifer was steadily trying to stop Cinderella from doing anything. I mean, she would be scrubbing the floor. Lucifer's old nasty self went and stepped in the dustpan where she swept up the floor before she started hand mopping it, and tracked his paw prints all over the floor. All over the floor. And she looked around and she just yelled at him, Lucifer! Like, she was upset. But you know what? She did not stop doing her job. Even though he was trying to agitate her and mess with her and just do everything to her just to make her miserable, she never lost that hope for her dream in her heart. She kept this happiness inside. There was some times where she just sighed, but then when she thought about her dream, she started getting happy again. And also, there was okay, I think I expounded on that pretty quick. Now the second page is like super short. Some things that we know. Okay, when it got time for there to be a ball for, just like King David, well, the one that was to be king, just like it was the duty of Samuel to go and find the king that God has selected. There was a part in Cinderella where the Duke had was ordered by the king to sent out invitations to every eligible maiden in the kingdom to come and meet with the prince, you know, to find him a suitable wife. It was like this. The king basically set that up because his own intentions, he was looking for, he did it out of his own personal reasons. He wanted grandkids. He felt like he wanted his son to be married and everything. So Cinderella, jumping back and forth, but I will let you know who I'm talking about before I speak. Cinderella, once she was the one given the invitation, and she brought it to the stepmother, and the stepmother saw it and said, oh, this was ordered that all the eligible maidens in the kingdom were to attend a ball. And so Cinderella said, a ball? She said, well, I'm part of this family too, so I feel this means that I get to go. And the stepmother said, well, of course, if you finish your work, if you finish your this, and if you finish your that. The evil stepsisters were upset with the fact that their mother would say such a thing. And then the evil stepmother said, notice, I said, if. And then the sisters were like, oh, if. So then immediately they started piling all this work on her, like to keep her so occupied with what they wanted for her to do than what was basically predestined for her. Like that was going to be a part of her dream. I mean, you started to see a little bit of her dream unfold. I mean, her eyes lit up. She was like, a ball? She didn't have any idea of what was about to go down, nothing like that. So she went in her room and she found this dress that would belong to her mother. And she looked and she wanted to remake it and fix it up a little bit because it was a little outdated and worn. So she had it in her mind what she wanted to do, and she was like, oh, with all the demands the sisters are putting on her and the stepmother putting on her, she's not going to get to attend the ball because she'll never be able to fix her dress in time. So her little mousy friends helps her, and they fix the dress for her and everything like that, while Cinderella is being, you know, forced to do all these like crazy things, these lists of unrealistic demands that were put on her. Now I want to stop right there and say that even though sometimes we get unrealistic demands put on us by other people, God still has people like in place to help us get to where we need to get to. And this is when we need to ask him to bring those people into our lives. Sometimes folks will try to stop it, but when they're meant to be in your life, I mean, God knows how to get them there. So the thing is, they finished the dress for her. She saw that it was finished. They help her, so she was able to get ready and to go to appeared that she was going to go to the ball at this time. So she walked on the stairs the moment the stepmother and the evil stepsisters, the two wicked stepsisters, were about to leave the house, and said, wait for me. I'm going to the ball also. Do you like my dress? Is it beautiful?" And you know what? That mean evil stepmother and those two wicked stepsisters were just like ratchet beyond ratchet. Ripped the girl's dress apart, basically. Left her running back to her room in tears. Okay? Sometimes people will be in your life and try to help you to get to where God wants you to be in your life, and then you got some folks who will be around like to try to rip you to shreds so you can't go where you're supposed to go, where it's meant for you to go. So she ran. And also, this is another part of the movie that, no, she didn't run to her room. As I'm thinking about, she didn't run to her room. She ran into the garden and cried under a tree. She was under a tree. That kind of almost reminded me of the Garden of Gethsemane experience Jesus had. So I was like, wow, there's so much biblical undertones in this movie. And then there were also crazy undertones too. But the fact that she went out to the garden, she cried. She was under her tree. She was leaning on a I'm trying to think of the thing where you sit, like as a little bench. She was like, she had her head resting on the bench and she was crying and everything like that. Then this light appeared, which was supposed to be the fairy godmother. But that to me was, the undertones of that was like symbolic of a holy visitation. And the first thing that the fairy godmother told her was, "Oh, nonsense, dear. If you didn't have the faith to think that you would do it, I wouldn't be here." Sometimes God will allow your situation to look so ripped to shreds, and because of the little bit of faith that you still have about the situation, that gives him a chance to just show up and make it what it's supposed to be. So she ended up being there and fixed it to where Cinderella had a ride, fixed it to where she had people to accompany her to go into this, turn her little mousy friends into horses, gave Cinderella a new dress and everything. Basically told her, hey, go and have fun. However, when the clock strikes 12, everything's going to turn back to how it was. Now, that part right there was almost like God presenting a situation, allowing us to go into a situation. But then it's like a testing of our faith to see, are we still going to believe that we can have it? Like, you can go out there and everything and do what your heart desire, do the things your heart desire, and then at some point to test your faith to see if you're still going to believe for it, will allow it to just come to an abrupt end. But there's always something left behind in remembrance of you that's going to ultimately bring you back together. To me, the way that I'm looking at it, okay, the shoe, but I will get to the shoe in a minute. It's like when she went to the ball and all the women were standing there and just basically like presenting themselves to the prince, bowing in front of the prince. He was literally bored because you would see him yawn and he was like, oh. He yawned, but he saw Cinderella from far off. He did not leave that stage to go down there to meet with any other maidens. But when he saw Cinderella, he walked right through those maidens and walked straight to her. And there was no talking involved, nothing. He saw her, she saw him. Immediately, they danced. They did not say, hello, how are you doing? What's your name? Blah, 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 blah. They saw each other. They knew what it was supposed to be. And were basically like just dancing until the time came that it was cut to an end. It was like, okay, so I gave you this miracle, but then I'm gonna cut it off right now and see if you're still gonna trust me that it's what I said for you to have. A lot of times we'll be allowed to get in certain situations and then it will seem to almost cut off. It'll be so good to be true, but in our natural mind, we'll say, oh, well, if it cut off, then it probably wasn't to be. Um, when that was cut off between Cinderella and the prince, which she did not know he was a prince, and she had to leave before that clock struck 12. It was like maybe like 11:58, 11:59 before that bell started going off. She ran down those steps. She was running, trying to get away because she already knew everything was supposed to turn back the way that it was supposed to be. And so she started running. And the prince was like, wait, 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 come back. And so the prince, the duke, he was running. I think they were both running because like almost everybody with the horse and chariot in the kingdom started following after, trying to like go and get her. So the thing was, she ended up like leaving her slipper behind. The duke picked it up and was like, that was all he had. Like this tiny little glass slipper was all that was left. Now, when Cinderella got back to where she was, her beautiful dress turned back to rags. The pumpkin coach turned back into a pumpkin, shriveled up, shrunk down, and when the horse and chariots came running after to look for her, it crushed the pumpkin to pieces. Her little mousy friends that wore horses turned back into mice. They were running and like, hey, what happened? So there was another instance after that the king and the duke were having a conversation. And the duke told the king that the prince loves her. He wants to be with her and he's not going to rest until he finds her. So they ordered another they ordered another petition that, hey, the duke is going to come around to all the eligible maidens in the kingdom to try this slipper on them to see whoever it fits, because the prince was like, whoever it fits, this is the girl that he's going to marry. So she ended up, Cinderella, the stepmother, like heard of this and everything, and she looked around, and so she kind of stared at Cinderella and her face just got super dark. Cinderella was walking in the hallway, just waltzing, just everything. So the stepmother looked at her and said, it's her. Now that is basically like this. Sometimes the devil will start picking up on and noticing as your dreams start getting closer. He will start noticing things about you that you don't say, or just whatever. That's when the attack started like amping up worse. Okay, the stepmother had caught wind that, hey, this is the girl that the slipper fits. She knew. She looked down at her feet. She knew that this slipper was gonna fit Cinderella. So what she do to be mean, nasty, ugly, hateful, and conniving? She waited till Cinderella got in her room, and the little micey friends were trying to tell her, look behind, look behind, look behind, look behind. She said, what? And she looked up in the mirror. The evil stepmother had opened the door, locked her in her room from the inside with the key, and shut the door. So Cinderella could not be presented to the duke along with the evil stepsisters so she could try on the shoe, because she knows if Cinderella put that shoe on in front of that duke, she will be the wife of that prince. There are some people trying to lock us up in a situation so that we cannot have our destiny. Maybe the desire of your heart is that right husband, that husband that is the desire of your heart that God like knows about. He knows the deep parts about you that nobody knows, so you can say one thing out of your mouth to other people, but God knows those hidden things in your heart. You could try to fight it outside with other people. You could do whatever you want. You can thumbs up the video, thumbs down the video. You can even unsubscribe. It doesn't matter, because what's true is whatever is true. And sometimes we make our lies the truth, but anyway, lying tongue lasts for just a moment, but whatever is true is forever. whatever, okay? And that's in the sense of anything that you can think of. So she locked Cinderella inside of that room, and she was devastated. She cried. She didn't know what to do. Those little mice ended up running out under the door. They went to go look for this key so they could give it to Cinderella so she could get out. And all this was going on before the Duke got to the house. And when he got to the house to try to slip her on the evil stepsisters, I mean, like, one was really trying like super hard to fit that shoe. She had it on the tip of her toe. And like, she was so desperate to get in that shoe, she actually had her foot was like folded up inside the shoe and said, "Oh, it fits." And they were like, "Oh, it fits." And then, because she had like jumbo, gigantic feet, that shoe popped right off that foot and almost hit the ground, but the Duke got it in time. And so, before the Duke was about to leave, get into that in a second. Something else about it just came to me that I almost forgot. When the little mice came to the door, finally, from getting the key, that was that cat Lucifer the last time right there, attempting to stop them from getting the key to Cinderella. How many times in life is a key about to be put in your hands by God himself through other people that are trying to get that key to you, and the devil try and stop it? Think about it. I mean, they try to do everything to lock Cinderella up, but here's the thing. The cat kept sitting on the key, kept, holding that little bowl over that rat, trying not to let him get that key to her and everything like that. But the dog, he always had dreams of chasing Lucifer, which was the cat, like to just make him go crazy. So Cinderella, while she was in the room, told the mice, "Go get Bruno. Go get Bruno." So Bruno's dream also came true too. He was always having dreams of chasing Lucifer and scaring the mess out of him. So the birds went to wake him up. The horse had to wake him up seriously and be like, "Cinderella needs you." So he got over there to the door where Lucifer was, scared him silly, and the cat was so afraid he jumped out the window. Okay, and the key was open in plain sight. They took the key, brought it under the door, got it to Cinderella. So Bruno's dream came true. He always wanted to chase that cat and get him, so he got him. Bruno won, and also Cinderella was about to win too. She got the key, unlocked the door. Before the Duke got ready to leave, we are back on this part. Before the Duke actually got ready to leave the house, he asked the evil stepmother, "Is this all the maidens that are available in the house?" She said, "Yes, there's no one else. There's no one else." Now, when a person has to say there's no one else, or this is it really what it is? Or is that you trying to convince yourself that there is no one else that could possibly fit that shoe? A lot of us are trying to wear shoes that we do not fit. Okay? It doesn't matter how bad someone else wants you to wear that shoe. If it is not your shoe, it will not fit you. If it's like in a job situation, if that shoe is not meant to fit, it's not going to fit. If it's in a relationship situation and that shoe is not supposed to fit, it's not going to fit. You might get it on, it could pop off your foot. Or if your foot is too tiny and that shoe is too big, it's going to fall off of you. It's not a perfect fit. Anyway, that was like on a subliminal tip. But true. Let me get back to it. Cinderella came running down the stairs after the Duke was like, "Well, if nothing else, we shall go." But when he turned his back, and before he got ready to go out the door, Cinderella ran down the stairs and said, "Wait, wait. May I try it on?" The evil stepmother was like, oh no, she didn't. And then the step sisters were standing there like, she's nobody, she's nobody. Now when you start hearing people saying you're nobody, that is an indication you are getting the closest to where you need to be. When people start saying no, 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 or saying that's not the one, that's not the one, that's not the one, that's not what you want, and they keep saying those things, and if you are simple and not searching out the matter, you're going to believe those taunts. You're going to believe it and walk right out. But the Duke did not do that, because when he laid eyes on her feet to see if he thought that that would go, the excitement in his face was like, oh my gosh, she's the one. It's like he knew before the shoe even got to her. But let me tell you what the wicked stepmother did. Like, the dumbest move ever. And I forgot to let you know this part right here. When everything turned back as into its original form at 12 o'clock, the little mice told Cinderella, Cinderella, your shoe, you still have a shoe. She said, oh, thank you. And she kept that shoe as a remembrance of the night. Now, what is your shoe? Is your shoe that piece of your heart that you're longing for, desire of your heart that you were able to attain momentarily, but then there was a parting situation and you kept that part of you like tucked away for a time you would need it? Let me tell you, that other shoe came in handy. Let me tell you, the evil stepmother, being wicked as she was, still could not stop the plan. The Duke had the shoe on a pillow and was going to try it on Cinderella. That evil stepmother put that cane out there and tripped the Duke and made the shoe smash into little pieces. Cinderella wasn't even bothered. The Duke was laying on the floor, like crying in front of her feet, like, oh no, now we'll never know. She said, oh, you see, I can help. I have the other one. She pulled out the slipper. The evil stepmother was like, let me tell you, there were people who will try to crush everything around you, lock you up, situations, do everything to make it look almost impossible for you to wear that shoe that was made for you. Okay? She didn't know. The evil stepmother didn't know about that other shoe. So the fact that she did all she could and Cinderella kept that shoe as a remembrance. She kept that shoe as a remembrance. We're all keeping something as a remembrance of something God had told to us, or what our desire of our heart is. Other people can try and do whatever, but if it's really, really meant to be, I mean, literally, they tried to stop her as long as they could. But once that Duke took that shoe and he put it on her foot, next thing you know, all else was history. They walked out of the church like Mary, the birds carrying her train. She turned around, she lost her shoe again. It was on the steps, but this time her father-in-law got it and put it back on her foot. The king got her shoe and put it back on her foot. And she gave him a kiss on the top of his head, and he started blushing. He was like, so he got his wish of wanting his son to be married, and also his son found the girl that he loved. Even through the getting together, there was a situation that had to part. However, they were meant to be. Let me look at my notes and see that I kind of pretty much get this right, because this was like watched last night and I haven't saw it in years. But let's see. Yep, I expounded on everything. Didn't even really have to look at the notes after I figured it out. Okay. After I figured that part out. Yeah. So there can be situations where people are trying to stop you, block you, smash your dream into smithereens, lock you in rooms, not maybe not a physical room, but possibly trying to lock you up spiritually, or lock you up in a situation and say, see, this is what it is right now. No, you can't have it because I don't want you to have it. But all the while, is there like little maidens running in front of a prince, maybe giving them butt shots, chest shots, all kind of little things to try and catch his attention, but you're not really what they want. See, this brings me to another thought. if it's not for you, you can flaunt everything and try and get it, but it's ultimately it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna work. I'm gonna say it like this. The heart knows. God knows deep things in our hearts. He knows. So we can get mad watching this video. We can do whatever. You can subscribe, unsubscribe, get T off. You can get mad. You can do whatever you want to do, but it's true. If it's not meant for you, you can't keep it. And if it is meant for you, nobody can keep it away from you. They can try forever and ever and ever and ever. Also, this kind of sort of reminded me a little bit about in the book of Esther, how Esther obtained favor from the king. She was not rich. This girl was an orphan. Okay, just basically anything you want to know about Esther, just go ahead and read the whole chapter of Esther, because it's a very short chapter. It's only maybe like 11 pages. It's only 11 pages, so you can pretty much sum up a lot of things in the book of Esther. Like, and you can see some of her characteristics with Cinderella, but also the main character in the Bible that Cinderella most resonated with was David. Okay, David, before he became king, was David. Overlooked, disregarded, same as she was. And now I will say this here, and I will be ending this video. If the shoe fits, wear it. And I'm out. Bye.